I figured that tonight might be like a little, not a challenge, but it might be a new recipe for most people. So, because tofu is not a common, like, everyday dish. I know that this might be a recipe that we're not going to try right now, but we might come back to it. Like, it might be something that you're like, hey, you know what? I happen to have tofu. Maybe I got it in my HelloFresh, or I see it in the supermarket, so I'm going to grab it. So that's why I thought this would be a fun one to do, and you can always come back to it. We want to always keep this chilled. So you don't want to put this at room temperature. It's better chilled. And this recipe is for classic chilled tofu. So you're going to take it out of the fridge. And what I like to do is peel it back somewhere, if you can grab a grip on it. We want to drain it. So you don't want to press the liquid out of it, but we just want to drain it. You know what I'm going to do is just give a little slice here. So I just gave it a little slice here. And I'm going to drain it in like just a plate or a bowl. Let me grab. I'll do it. I'm going to put it in this cake pan, and I'm just going to invert it and let the liquid come out. And I'm just going to let it hang here. So if you see that, I don't want to press it. So I don't want to push all of this, squeeze it out. I don't want to do that, because I do want to retain some of the moisture. So I'm just going to put it like this and then let it just drain this way, just on its own. So it's just going to drain. And we want to do that for a few minutes. So we want it to drain for a few minutes because we want to retain some of the moisture that's trapped inside the tofu, but we don't want to keep it all liquid. So while that's draining very gently, you're going to, and I'll move down so you guys can see all of my stuff. I'll move this here. I think you guys can see. I have my fun orange board here. I'm going to take my scallion, and what you want to do here is these excess leaves that are kind of loose here, you can peel those off. These like really flimsy ones that are a little damaged, we can get rid of those. Just these like little kind of, they're almost like papery. So anything like that, I'm just going to get rid of. The rest I'm going to keep on. You're going to slice my kid knife, the ends off. What you should do with these, I don't know if anyone's ever done this before. You're going to take these and put them in like a little shot glass or a little water cup with a toothpick in it. And then what'll happen is these roots will grow, and you'll get a new scallion come right out of there. So it's a really great way to continuously grow from the vegetable. You can do it with carrot too, and you can do it with celery. So I think it's really cool to kind of like propagate new stuff with what you have. So save these and use them. And then we're going to cut these scallions as thin as we can. So I'm going to use 2, but the recipe just calls for 1. I love scallion though, so I'm going to do 2, and I'll probably just like nibble on these. So we're just going to cut these nice and thin. I'm using a kid knife. That's how like delicate the scallions are. So you can have your little ones help with this. So they can definitely grab one of these and cut these and feel super successful. So I'm just going to cut, and I am going to cut all the way. I'm going to put this all in a bowl. I am going to cut all the way to like the loose leafy things. So really once it's nice and firm, this whole part is firm, until you start to see the separation where the leaves kind of and the stems are separating. You're going to cut all the way up until then. And you can keep going. The leafier the scallion is, the less oniony it tastes. So all of this smells and tastes really oniony. I'm going to keep all of that. The more loose the leaf is and the less of a bulb you have, the less oniony it tastes. So this is great for these scapes. They're kind of scallion scapes. These are great for garnish. And if you don't want to garnish with them, you're going to save them, tie a string around them, put them in a Ziploc, and then you're going to use this for your soups and stocks and stews. You drop the whole thing in there, the bouquet, and then you're just going to take it out when you're done cooking. So save those too. Save all of this stuff. If you're doing this on the go, traveling, then maybe don't save it, but otherwise you can. So you're going to you have this all in here, and then you're going to add your ginger to this. So if you're going to do 1 teaspoon of ginger, I'm going to use my ginger paste, but you can use, at this point, your grated ginger or your powdered ginger. Let me grab this scissor right here. So I'm going to measure about a teaspoon. I like the ginger paste, like I said, because it makes it like a little more dressing-y, like a dressing, like a salad dressing, or this packet is really strong. A salad dressing, or I'm gonna eyeball it. It's nice and thick. That is about what we need, about a teaspoon. I'm gonna show it to you. It looks liquidy in here, but it's really nice and thick. It's almost like the orange ginger dressing you get with Japanese food. It's very, very thick. And what you want to do is make sure all of your stuff is coated. Get it nicely coated in there, and you're going to grab your soy sauce. If you're doing a low sodium soy sauce, which you can, you are going to get all of this stuff. If you're going to do low sodium soy sauce, I'm going to show you all of the options here. You can do a regular soy sauce. You can do a low sodium soy sauce. If you want to bump up your flavor, which you don't need to do because this is very salty, very flavorful, you can use this. So this is a sesame oil, put it that way. It's not on the recipe list, but once you buy this, you really only ever use about a teaspoon at a time. So you wind up with a lot of sesame oil and you don't know what to do with it. This is great for it. You're just going to do a little bit with it. So to this dish, you're going to add your soy sauce. Soy sauce is very, very salty. So we are going to have our scallions, we have our ginger, and we're going to add the soy sauce. Just a tiny bit of it. I didn't put a measurement on there because you're really going to kind of like do it to taste, but we're just going to add a tiny bit and give it a nice stir. So it's really just to keep the liquid all flowing, right? So I am going to mix all of this up. And your goal is to get almost like this kind of pasty, there we go, a nice like pasty coating. All my scallions are drowning or kind of drenched in this really fun gingery flavor. So I'm going to set this to the side. That's it for so far, so we haven't done too much. And then I'm going to get back to my tofu. So it's been draining. I can peel it open now. Got it on this side. And you're going to take the tofu out, keep it in its block, and we are going to cut it. Okay, so we're going to do, I'm going to cut it into 4, so this will be 4 servings. Generally, this might be an appetizer or the main protein of a dish. Sorry for the screaming. The kids are in the pool. I don't even know if you can hear that. There we go. So it's a nice block. It's really nice. It's together. It's still damp. So you do not want your tofu to be dry. You want it to be nice and damp. So I am going to put this in 4 equal pieces. So I'm going to put lots of movement there. I'm going to do 4 pieces. Now, if anybody was able to procure the shisho leaves, those are just for decoration. That would go on the bottom. I was not able to. I went to H Mart for them, but they were out of them. They only had the dried ones, and it basically looks like a big like banana leaf. It goes on the bottom, and it protects it. If you have that, you can put that on the bottom and put your tofu right on top of that. If not, don't worry about it. I don't know if anybody's cooking. Was anybody able to get some? No, right? H Mart has them. Walmart sometimes has them. 99 Ranch has, and ShopRite. So you can get it in a lot of places. So what, I'm going to move this back down. What you want to do with these is basically put this on the leaf if you can. And now we're going to top it with all of this. So the goal here is to, you can use your hands or a knife, however you prefer. We're going to really coat each of the cubes with the scallion. Now remember, I used a lot of scallion. You might have a little bit less, but we want to get all of this liquid nicely on there. And I'm still not pressing it, but I'm putting it all on there. If you use the grated ginger, it's liquidy. It's going to have a little bit of liquid on there, a little bit of residual liquid. And I'm kind of like spreading it, right? Now, if you are using your seaweed flakes, or if you are using your katsubushi, you're going to sprinkle that on there. What that provides is saltiness and a little bit of crunch. I know I had my seaweed. I brought it purposely with me, and I can't find it now, so I'm not going to get up again because I feel like I keep getting up. But I did find sesame seeds. So if you are in a household where you are not allergic to sesame, these are a great fun decoration for it, and it will complement your oil. These are just some additions. Not necessary, not traditional in the recipe, but a little something fun. What you can do is just sprinkle your seasoning on top. So either your seafood flakes, your fish flakes. I'm going to put some sesame on there, and then you're going to give it a taste. I'm having like opening issues. There we go. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on there. Now the green seafood and the fish flakes, which are a little like dried and scaly, they look a lot prettier than this. This is a little more pale. That's okay. I know what I'm getting myself into, so I don't mind. If you want a little more pop of color, you're going to add that on there. At this point, you want to taste it. What you're tasting, what you're aiming for is a tofu that is dry, still like silken to the taste, but dry. And you want to taste a lot of the ginger and the scallion. The soy sauce that we added should be penetrating all the way through. So that's what you're tasting for, to see that it's penetrating all the way through. The other thing that you can do is you're tasting for all of that. When you're happy with the taste, you can serve as is, or you can drizzle it with another sauce, like a sesame oil, a vinegar, anything like that. So I'm going to give it a taste. This is a quick one. But the key to this, and this is a very traditional appetizer, is to make sure that you have your scallions coating all of your tofu. Okay, tofu and ginger and scallion are the main part of this. I'm going to give it a taste and see if my dressing has penetrated through. The longer you let this sit, the more your ginger, your scallion, because your scallion has oil, and your soy seep through. So I'm going to show you this, and you'll actually be able to see some of the color. Let me get a little closer. You can see how the soy is kind of like on top, and it's kind of little by little like absorbing into the sponge of the tofu. So you kind of want it to hit its way down. So the longer this sits, the better it is. I'm going to give it a taste though. Oh, it's very spicy and very fresh. The scallion should be a little bit of spice, onion, like raw onion flavor. The ginger is really spicy, and then you have the soy sauce that adds the salt, but it still tastes really fresh because of the brightness. I'm going to add sesame oil, but you don't need to. And when you add it, you're just literally just going to drizzle. I really like sesame and sesame oil. You notice how little we put, and this is like always the serving of sesame oil. It's like a minuscule teaspoon portion. I'm going to turn this so you can see what's happening. You can see the oil kind of seeping through, and what it's doing is penetrating through the sponge. That's really what we want. Every time we make tofu, if you don't season the top of it and let it sit, your tofu is going to be a little bit more on the bland side because it's not going to taste like much. So you want to penetrate it. If you feel like your tofu is too firm and it's not working, you can use your fork to poke holes and then put this stuff on top of it. Let me give it another taste. So now this is traditionally served cold. That's perfect. It's so good. Traditionally served cold and chilled. Always cold and chilled when you bring it to the table. The longer it sits, and you'll see, and you can see it in mine, the more the liquid is going to seep out of the tofu. So that's why they put the leaf underneath it. If you can't find the leaf, don't worry about it. You can also put it in, like, if you want to do a display, like a little steamer basket. Other variations of toppings, and I know it sounds a little bit odd to pair tofu and my favorite produce, tomatoes, but it's very popular and very, the taste is really good. So you would chop these tomatoes up, and I'll put it on one, and then sprinkle that on there. Tomatoes have a lot of water. The water's going to seep through. Some people like to do anchovies, which is also very popular because they are a salty, briny snack. Peppers, corn, cucumber, sushi toppings like crab, cucumber, and avocado can also go on top, but this is the base recipe. This is the classic recipe. If you wanted to add something, this is like the classic Japanese recipe. If you wanted to go a different direction, you could do things like Korean kimchi on top. It makes it a little, kind of more fermented and more flavored. I like it, the pairing, because the tofu is fermented. It's fermented soy, so I like the fermented, the cabbage on there. You could also do chili flakes if you want a little more spice. I think the ginger, we used a half a teaspoon of ginger. I think that is enough spice, but you can definitely add more. If you want to go fresh route with your produce, you're going to try to match the size of the scallion. What you don't want is a big giant chunk of tomato paired with the scallion, almost like a tomato and cucumber salad. Cherry tomatoes are going to be easier to cut, but this is going to work fine for the purpose of what you have, for whatever you have. Plum tomatoes are in season right now, so you can just use those. So I'm going to cut and try to get as much of the juice kind of in there as I can. Here's a nice fleshy piece, and I'm going to put it on. You'll see how pretty it looks. It's like a nice pop of color. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this served at a Korean restaurant. I mean, at a Japanese restaurant. It's very popular to serve this before a meal, or as like the appetizer, or as like part of the protein entree. So just really fresh and on top, and then that's your garnish. The other thing you can do is add the anchovy, the whole fillet on there, and let it drip down. Any questions? Anybody have questions on it? Is anyone trying it? Amber, you're not making it, right? Not tonight.
No.
Is this something you think you would try?
Yeah, sometimes my family and we do eat tofu. Mm-hmm.
So this is a really easy way to do it. If you feel like today it's too hot to cook, so it's a great recipe for today. But you need that big hit of protein, and you don't want to have a hot protein. This is great for that. And then you can pair it with whatever you have seasonally in terms of your produce, but just the scallion and the ginger is really where the tradition comes in. So you're going to make that dressing paste. My kids really like the carrot ginger dressing. So we might grate carrot on here and then have the scallion ginger paste at the bottom. And it's very reminiscent of that carrot ginger dressing that's really popular, that everybody loves. And that dressing tastes great with really fresh, crispy, wet produce like cucumber, celery, things like that. So that can go on it. If you are not eating this right away and you're maybe making it in the morning or in the afternoon to serve later, it'll get more concentrated with flavor. The more you let it sit, the more all of these flavors kind of seep down into the recipe, into the, I just lost you, sorry. It seeped down into the tofu. I was checking the chat and I hit the video button.
Let's say if you are going to let it sit, do you just put it back in the fridge to let it
Yeah.
sit? Okay.
So if you're going to let it sit, keep it chilled. So I could take this whole thing, or you could build this inside one of those square Tupperware containers. You're going to try to cover it because tofu is kind of like a sponge. So it's going to absorb a lot of the flavors of anything raw that you have in your fridge. So if you have an onion in there, it's going to absorb the onion, which is good because we have onion on there. But say you have, meat defrosting or something, you kind of don't want those flavors on there. You're going to take this whole thing. If you can wrap it or cover it, that would be ideal. So if I have it on my cutting board, I'm going to wrap it in maybe plastic wrap or put a Tupperware on top of it upside down and put it in the fridge. Keep it chilled until service, until you're going to serve it. I took my tofu right out of the fridge, so it was nice and cold. The colder it is, the more it stays in its shape, and also the more refreshing it is because it is not that it's creamy, but if you've had tofu before, you know that it has like that kind of like creamy essence to it, especially the soft silken. It's just very, it's got a nice smooth mouthfeel. The colder it is, the firmer it is. I have to use a fork for this because it's a little firmer. If you had the soft one, you could go right in with a spoon and like scoop it out. I don't recommend whipping the tofu. I like it in the blocks. This is more traditional. But some people will kind of whip up the soft tofu so that it's a little broken up and then put this on top and so that it's more like a pudding. A very savory, like onion, scallion pudding, more or less. I'm going to do a little bit more because I'm not going to finish it now. I'll give it to everybody when they come in. I have a daughter who's a vegetarian, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the sesame so that it seeps in there a little bit. I have a daughter who's a vegetarian, so this is like a popular option for her because she eats a lot of tofu, but we don't always want it. If you've ever had crispy tofu, it's the most delicious thing ever. You don't always want all that like oil or heaviness or hot food or hot tofu. So I like to do it like this and keep it in the fridge, and then she'll just snack on it all day. But one block I think the tofu is roughly like $3 for a container. So one block of it, it's pretty hefty. It's a nice serving. One block is 12 ounces roughly. So one block is going to be anywhere between 12 and 15 ounces. So this is 3 to 4 ounces of a serving. So it's a full serving of protein. And I don't know if it has the amount of protein that's on there. 10 grams of protein. So it's a big protein boost. I know as women, we don't eat a lot of soy in general. We eat, we limit the amount of soy, and this is a fermented soy, so we're not going to eat it, my daughter eats it every day, but we're not going to eat it every day, really. As soon as we get to a certain age, we're going to avoid all of that extra kind of repetition of ingredients. But it's a great option for a meat-free protein boost in the summer because it's a way to get protein that's not hot. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't always want, a grilled meat, or I don't want hot dishes or all of that hot protein. Like even a rotisserie chicken sometimes is just too hot on a day, especially like today. So this is a lot fresher, and it's a nice big burst of protein. And then the ingredients that you have on there are really ginger, scallions, all really great blood circulating foods. So really great for your liver, great for detox, and really just vibrant and fresh. Good for metabolism also. I was trying to think of that word. It's really good for your metabolism because it kind of keeps your circulatory system going. So it's going to give you a nice boost. And the tomatoes, if you do add the tomatoes, you have all that like, skin, kind of healthy skin glow stuff going on, immune boosting properties. I think it's lipine maybe is the chemical compound that's in there. So a lot of really, especially at this time of year, great produce that's out there. Try to use that stuff. If you are going to use the baby anchovies or any of the cooked fishes, try to choose the low sodium because your soy sauce is going to be a little more high in sodium. That's a really easy one, right? You feel like it was super easy and impressive. I feel like if you put this out in front of someone, they'll be like, ooh, this is fancy. Like, what did you do? How is this kind of block? If you were serving this to someone on a little banana leaf or a little like soy leaf, it's just a nice impressive little block, and it's delicious too. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, I always thought of tofu as like a fancy dish.
It is, because it is so simple, but because it's so simple, it's prepared with a lot of respect. So as long as you really show it a little bit of respect, it can be very fancy and very elevated. When I was in college, we survived a lot on tofu because it was like cool to eat tofu, but we just had it like fried. We would like olive oil in a pan and do a slice of it, kind of like a big slice of, like Taylor ham, like when you get a big pork roll, right? It was a big slice of it, a giant square slice, and then flip and flap and just have it like a pan seared tofu, and we would have that on like bread or just on its own. So it was very simple, affordable, and like it kept us healthy. So it was very cool to eat it, but it was always like very modest, like the way we were prepared. It had to be very like stress-free. This is still stress-free, but it's so delicious and so elevated in the sense that it's like very carefully prepared, thought out, and the flavors are just great. Really, really good.
Yeah, I had a teacher in the past told me that she seasons her tofu to taste like chicken.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if I would do. I like the taste of tofu, but I because it's a sponge. I see where she's going with that because you do want it to replicate when it's fried, when it's crispy. You can also buy crispy tofu in the store. I know H Mart has. They're little cubes of crispy tofu, and you can actually use that in dishes like General Tso's tofu or a sesame tofu to replicate the chicken that you would get in like Asian fast food restaurants. So I can see that happening a lot with tofu, and I can maybe just going in that direction, or like a rotisserie flavored tofu, or my kids really like the lemon pepper. So maybe to try that and like give it a little toast or a little pan fry. I'm really into tomatoes right now, so I'm putting them on everything. So I like it with the tomato. It's just really fresh. I don't know how anybody else feels about tomatoes, but I'm all in on the tomatoes right now. I did a tomato, like a poor man's tomato soup yesterday with literally just cut up tomatoes in a pan with a little bit of olive oil and cooked them for 20 minutes with a little salt until they reduced down and produced so much liquid that they turned into like a chunky soup. And I just put some bread in there and just ate it right out of the pan, and it was delicious. It was in between camp recipes, and I was like, oh, I love tomatoes. They're so good. So on this tofu, I feel like it just is like so bright and fresh and crunchy. You know, it's a fast one, but it's a good hotel recipe, right? Don't you feel like if you're on a road trip and you need to like make something affordable, fast, but healthy, and still like feel like you cook dinner, I feel like this is a great road trip option. Leave this stuff in your cooler, like your drinks cooler, like a little portable cooler, and you can make a really good hotel room meal, or on the road meal that's still like healthy and good, protein packed.